All right, we are live, and welcome everyone to our council meeting. We're just waiting on Councillor Link to join us, and we will get started right away. Sorry, not Councillor Link, Councillor Kleiber. Thank you. I'm sorry, Councillor Link.
No problem.
Welcome, Councillor.
I didn't watch the time and I almost missed the start. Sorry about that, guys.
No problem. All good. We're all here. I will open up our meeting. Be it resolved that the meeting be called to order and that the agenda for the meeting be adopted as circulated. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Craig, seconded by Councillor Buschetti. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Thank you. Before we get going on the rest of the meeting, just in case anybody is new to viewing us on YouTube or the recorded meeting, I'll just go around and let everybody know who's joining us tonight. We have all members of council with us this evening. Councillor Link from Ward 1, Councillor Buschetti from Ward 2, Councillor Kleiber from Ward 3, and Councillor Craig from Ward 4, and our CAO Brent Allnick joining us today, and Ms. Shaw under West St. Paul Administration joining us, our Municipal Legislative Officer. Thank you all. And I will read the resolution for addendums to the agenda this evening. Be it resolved that council accepts the following additions, deletions, and/or changes to the agenda. Add item 3.2 addendum, administrative report, Riverdale Rink proposal. Item 3.2 addendum, municipal emergency coordinator recommendation, outdoor recreation space and rinks. 3.2 addendum, public works recommendation, Riverdale Park. And 3.2 comments received, Riverdale Rink proposal. Can I get a mover, please? I moved by Councillor Craig, seconded by Councillor Buschetti. Any discussion on the addendums? Councillor Link, go ahead.
Yes, when were these added to the agenda? What time? Today?
4 o'clock.
Was council sent an email to alert them that these addendums and information was available on the agenda? No.
I'm not sure. I can't speak to that.
I see the CAO shaking his head.
Okay.
Am I right?
You're correct.
So I just discovered these just prior to the meeting. I've had no time to consider them. Have others had time to consider them? I don't think this is fair.
No, I didn't.
Our CAO will walk us through his administrative report. He was working on it today. I don't know if you want to speak to that, Mr. CAO. It's a special meeting and a request from council to address this. And so he's been working on this today. I don't know if I pass that to you, Mr. CAO, to address. We get the information as soon as it's available.
It would be nice to have notice that the information is available and where it's available. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. Oh, Councillor Kleiber, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think we've had time to consider this. I'm looking at it and like it's pretty extensive here. So I would have appreciated a little bit more time here. I don't know where this is all coming from. We need a little bit more than an hour, and certainly we need some notice. Can we get that in the future?
Well, here's the situation with this. This was an item that came as a delegation. We have a lot of other business. Council couldn't wait till the next council meeting. So, I mean, I can only work on, I can't drop every other item in the RM because a delegation came to council and has asked for something. We've dealt with this delegation previously in 19. It was an item that came to budget that
I asked the mayor this question.
It wasn't put on the budget. It was discussed and it wasn't put forward on the budget. So I mean, I have other orders of business that I have to work on. We had a council meeting that went to
I
to
asked
11
for the
o'clock
question.
on Thursday. I had a council
Not
meeting
elected
where I was
official,
here till
but elected
10:30
official.
on Tuesday. And I mean, I'm doing the best I can. This is an item that came out of nowhere.
Again, Mayor
I
Christian,
I
all I
also had
asked
council
for,
that don't write a
Mayor,
report.
can you please let me
You don't
talk?
need a report on this, which isn't proper process.
Mayor Christian, could you please let me talk? The question was to you. I just asked for a little bit of flexibility the next time. I'm not making any
To go through it
criticisms.
and-
I'm just simply asking if we're going to receive some information an hour before the meeting start, could we at least get an email saying this has been quickly added to the agenda? And then at least we have 5 minutes to go and look at it. That's all I'm asking. Is that possible, Mayor Christian? You can nod your head because I see that your speaker went out. Yes?
Sorry, I lost everybody there.
I just wanted to know if it would be possible if something's added so last minute, like it was an hour, if we could just get an alert of some kind saying, we added these reports, can you go and have a look at them? Because I didn't have time between 4 and 5 to go and look. Didn't know it was there either. And I would have, like, I'm trying to scan it right now. So there is new information there. There's some other things there, like from people. And it would have just been, you know, if we could have had a quick alert. And I know Brent is busy and I understand that. But if we're going to do that, if we could just get a quick alert to say, quickly go look at your AllNet. There's a couple things we need to read before we start. Would that be a unreasonable request?
We'll have to see. We'll have to see if we can have anything added to AllNet to send out information. You know, our CEO explained he's doing the best he can. This is a last minute request on a special meeting. When we're adding items like that, our CEO is going to walk through this page by page for everyone tonight. So if you didn't have a chance to look at it in advance, we're going to go through page by page. It is a last minute request from council to address this issue. So our CEO has been doing the best that he can to address it. So we just have to try and be reasonable that we're going to address the item. I know council asked him not to do a report and that we could use the report from last year, but it's important that we all get as much information as we can. And he's relying on his reports from our emergency coordinator and legal and his public works department. So he's doing the best he can to get the information to us.
I understand that, but we did give him it was a week's notice because we did it on the last meeting. So he did have a week. It wasn't last minute, but I understand he's busy. I get that piece. And just so council has at least 5 minutes just to look at it. That's all I'm asking for. I don't think it's unreasonable.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Craig, go ahead. And then Councillor Link, I saw your hand up as well.
I think Councillor Kleiber from Gathering, she's just requesting the next time. She's not complaining or anything. The next time something like this thing, let's get the heads up. And I know, as she indicated, the CEO is extremely busy, and we appreciate that. And all she's asking, not now, the next time this occurs. Yeah, and that's a fair request. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Craig. Councillor Link, go ahead.
My comment has been covered. I agree with Councillor Craig, Councillor Kleiber.
I think if we can get as much notice as we can and items on the agenda, we've been working very hard not to add any addendums. I think this is the first addendum that we've added in months because it is hard for council to see last minute information. But I do think we need to be fair to staff on this. These are usually things that take a number of weeks to prepare as part of our budget. So it's asking a lot at the last minute. So points taken going forward for the future. Thank you. We've had discussion. I have a mover and a seconder. I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. All right, our first item on the agenda for this evening is item 4.1, wastewater contractor update. And our CEO added this to the agenda to speak to this because these are follow-ups from our delegations that we had come to speak to council last week, I believe. The weeks are flying by. So there were a lot of comments made by the delegation and requests to meet and speak with the CAO, and so he's going to provide a follow-up for council this evening.
Hi, Council. This is just a verbal follow-up. So the delegation that came to Council last week had suggested that they couldn't, they were having issues getting a contractor to give them quotes. There were 42 homes that received, that I was told received a quote from a contractor, actually a local contractor from West St. Paul, that has family in the area. So we have that contractor. 42 homes were asking for a price. They've given a price. I also know of 2 other contractors that are actively accepting work on Rossmere and Addis. So I know on our list of 3 contractors that are actively giving quotes and taking work for this project. And I also had been on the phone twice with the delegation representative, and I'm waiting for. She had asked that we consider a contractor that wasn't core certified, and I said that we would be willing to listen to someone with experience and at least to listen and get into discussion. We are still waiting. I've talked twice. We're still waiting to have a contractor talk to us from that stable, and she was hoping maybe by the end of this week or early next week someone would be able to talk to me. So she had 2 contractors in mind. One didn't pan out, but the second one is said that they would engage with me next week, and that's my report on.
Thank you, Mr. CAO. Any questions to the CAO regarding the follow-up on that delegation? I think I would just make a comment that it was good to have some clarification on that. Just because of the comments made, it's concerning when comments are made that there's no contractors available and that no one can get any work done. So we want to assure people that we can get work done in West St. Paul, and the contractors are busy working
Audio
on.
is bad.
Sorry, are you able to hear me? Okay. All right, we have the Riverdale Rink proposal. Go ahead, Councillor Prague.
I'm only concerned with the person that's not core certified. What if something goes wrong? We allow this person and something goes wrong while doing the installation. Who's going to take responsibility? Who's going to take the responsibility if something goes wrong? You know, he's not core certified. I just want to know, that's all.
Okay, Councillor Pratt, thanks for that comment. Yeah, we're very aware of it. We also had Councillor Kleiber, who's in, if I could say, the construction business, right? And in that industry anyways, also made a comment in regards to core certified last week, as did basically everyone. And so we're not saying that, you know, we're going to go ahead with someone that's not core certified. Certainly my public works director of infrastructure doesn't like to go in that direction, but I said we will discuss it. I'm always open to have some discussion on it, and you know, maybe we could help the contractor partner up with someone that is core certified. I don't know, there could be, you know, we have to think a bit about outside the box, and I want to exhaust every possibility I can to help the fine folks of Rossmere and Addis.
I think it's also important, if there are frustrated contractors that are not on the license list in West St. Paul, that if they're wanting to follow up with our CAO about the standards that we have, that at least they understand the concerns from our end of why we're looking for core certification. So I think it's important to have those discussions. Any other comments on the wastewater contractor update? Okay, thank you. We'll go on to 4.2, the Riverdale Rink. And this was raised as an addendum at a previous meeting, and so we're bringing it back to have discussion and information from council and make a decision. Go ahead, Mr. CAO, we see your reports attached.
Hello, Council. First of all, I'd just like to start off and say that I want to thank Mr. Paczkowski for coming forward with his delegation in 19 and 20. I've also talked to him a number of times offline formally about his application. He's very persistent. I know that Council, and that's a positive thing, his being persistent. I want that to be viewed positively. And I know Council in the past has partnered up with private citizens to do things at other locations. So I just want to thank him for that. But to do my job as the CAO, I have to do some what our council would call due diligence, and you know, I believe that a report is necessary. So keeping in mind that this is a council decision, I'm going to walk through my report, and it's going to be on the screen. So here we go. The issue is to approve the relocation and upgrading of the Riverdale Rink as proposed by Riverdale resident Amy Paczkowski. Current proposal is for a 36 by 72 rink with boards, and this is the size is down about 10% from the proposal the year before. The total cost to the RM is $1,202.01 for material. For history, Mr. Paczkowski attended as a delegation to council on October 24th, 2019 to discuss the potential of moving the Riverdale Rink from the grass area of the Riverdale Park to the tennis courts and installing boards around the rink at an estimated cost of $3,200. Council did not approve the request at that time. Cost only addressed material and RM, and it should say, and it did not address RM staff time. Rink proposal request was then brought forward to council as a 2020 budget request. Council did not approve that budget request. Mr. Paczkowski has updated the rink proposal from a size of 40 by 88 to 36 by 72 and attended as a delegation to council on November 10, 2020 to discuss the potential of moving the Riverdale Rink and installing boards around the rink. Analysis. There are a number of matters council must consider before moving forward with a partnership with a private citizen. I want to be clear to council that when I'm going through these are just matters that you should be aware of. I'm certainly not making any of these a showstopper, but to do my job as the CAO, that you know we should run through all these matters and then we've covered all bases. So there's the mandate consideration, and a council should be saying, is the topic with direct mandate of mayor and council? Should the Recreation Committee review and assess? Second bullet is COVID-19 consideration. Current recommendation from the Municipal Emergency Coordinator is as follows. Due to the escalated COVID-19 measures imposed by the province, I am recommending that the municipality cease preparation of open space pleasure rinks for the winter season. In the event these measures are scaled back to allow for a limited gathering within recreation, spaces would remain closed as they are unsupervised and would have potential to encourage gathering in excess at recommended levels. So before this application or this delegation came to council, the MEC, Ken Azaransky had sent me a recommendation, and we had talked. And the discussion centered around the Sonova rink, that we felt that the Sonova Center rink should continue to be set up and be ready to be operational. We had the staff at the Sonova rink. We were able to lock the rink, and that should be shovel ready to go if COVID restrictions became lesser. But that pleasure rinks, his recommendation to council was going to be no pleasure rinks this year. We know in COVID that we're in a situation now that probably will be, you know, I'm not the expert, but what I'm hearing from experts is we'll probably be in lockdown to Christmas. And, you know, we may be in different levels of COVID-19 lockdowns until vaccines are moving forward. I'm not going to get into that because everybody reads as much as I do on this. We have an idea of when those things would be happening. Precedent considerations. Is there a precedent for mayor and council to consider? Well, there is. We've done things. We've done things in other areas. We did a basketball court in River's Edge where we had participation from private citizens and council. If not, will the mayor and council be setting a precedent? And if so, policy considerations for future make requests from residents of the municipality. So this is a little different. This is boards. It's not like a basketball net. So my only concern that I'm stating to council is if you do this, you're going to have situations where other groups have come to council as a delegation or maybe even a conditional use. And if they're not successful, they're going, what would stop them to come back and saying, I want another delegation and come in front of council again. So we should be aware that, we could be setting a precedent here. And I don't know if how do you make a difference out of a Riverdale rink with boards, and if someone comes to another playground and goes, I would like to put up a rink there too. We want to be clear on what we're doing, so maybe we should consider doing a written policy here, what we need to do if someone comes forward with a request. And in delegations, if you've come for a delegation, how many times can you come forward? Financial considerations. This item was advanced by Mr. Patkowski as a delegation in October 19 and May 20th at the financial budget approval process and declined. It is now being brought forward to Mayor and Council as a special item. While Mayor and Council can act by resolution, consideration is to be given to applicable policies such as the municipal tendering and procurement policy. The request is for under $7,500, the lowest threshold under our policy. Article 5 provides that goods and services with a value of up to $7,500 shall be purchased without estimates or quotes, provided funds are to be clearly identified in the municipality's financial plan. And for the CAO to sign off on such a purchase, it has to be identified in the municipality's financial plan, Article 9. Any resolution of mayor and council will need to address these 2 points in the MTPP, approving the funding and authorizing the CAO on the expenditure. In addition, the resolution should address right to terminate the rink arrangement. So these items were discussed with our lawyer just to make sure we were covering all bases. And in our resolution that Lainey's prepared for tonight, if we decide to move forward, those articles are covered in the resolution. Any sponsorship or request for monies or product should not be coming from municipality, but rather the volunteers. The RM can provide a comfort letter to whom it may concern, confirming that the project has been approved and that it will be built by volunteers, but the RM ought to refrain from soliciting product from one specific third party. And that item was also vetted. I come up with some wording and the municipal lawyer looked at it and made some adjustments. So when if we are asking for, and we know in this case that Mr. Patkowski had approached a company in West St. Paul for a donation. He said he did not know whether the donation would happen or not, but was looking for a letter from the RM. That donation should be brought forward by the private parties, the request for donation. And if they want, we can provide a letter that says this project will be going. Another issue to consider, is there any union concerns or considerations? I have not talked to anyone from the union on this. I have not flagged it, but in the past, in my past experiences at the city of Winnipeg, I've seen situations like this, and it is, will the union of public works employees take issue that's that this is something within its mandate. So I've seen issues at the city of Winnipeg where they want to contract out services or do volunteers. I've seen a volunteer where in the libraries, volunteers, people that are interested in libraries, and that volunteer to put books back on the shelf. And the union at the city of Winnipeg said that's a union job in our contract. I have no idea if our union of public works employees would oppose to this, but council needs to be aware that that could be a consideration. Practical considerations: confirmation that you have full support of residents. Whatever is constructed needs to be accessible to all residents of the municipality, not just neighbors, and address adult supervision. Signs must be posted, use at your own rink. And in regards to resident opposition, Mr. Pachkowski report, he said, remember, I had 100% support rate from all residents that I visited last year. The office of the CAO has received 6 Riverdale homeowners emails, both voicing concerns about this project. So although I agree there is probably lots of concerns in regards, or lots of support, I should say, in regards to a hockey rink, you need to remember that when somebody is going door to door, that would be doing a rink like that, you're going to get a lot of agreeable people when you approach them at the door, and maybe you don't have a chance to talk to everyone. Somebody isn't home. So there's probably lots of support here. I mean, this is Canada and it's a hockey rink. I sure wouldn't want to get in the way of a hockey rink in Canada, but we've had 6 concerns from Riverdale residents on this that came through the office of the CAO, and they're included later in the, I have them published so that we can show them on here, but I've taken the names off. So one of them expressed they certainly didn't want their name put down. So I just thought in the best interests of privacy, we have the emails here and we'll just publish them. Not that this is a roadblock to this project, but just for council to be clear that not everybody, this is not 100% support on this project. And I think that's good for you to know. Implementation and overview considerations. We want to know who will carry out construction of the rink, including preparatory work. State approval and preparation to be obtained and confirmed by Public Works before any boards put up and ice made. And again, checked by Public Works boards put in and before ice goes in. And then again, once ice is being put in and completed, there would be another check. This would be for insurance purposes and for risk avoidance. So this is, again, by no means stalling this project or a roadblock, but just to say that in the RM's best interest, we're going to be, it doesn't matter that a private citizen is doing this, they're doing this in partnership with the RM, and we need to make sure that the proper material is used and make sure that it's safe. Operational considerations, insurance. Is the intent for the volunteers to be covered under RM insurance? If so, what is needed? Typically in these situations, the community group obtain their own insurance and certificate of insurance for $2 million. And we received that number from our law department or whatever amount our insurer recommends. When the RM is additional insured, the community group should have its own insurance. So I'm sure members of the community group have insurance under their house policy. We do have insurance under the RM, and portions of it would be covered. So the RM said that if a rink is on our property, that there would be a coverage, but the lawyer says that the third party should make sure that they also have coverage just for their own risk safety. Anyone working on this project will not be covered by workers' compensation or any employee insurance. So if there's a volunteer working on this rink and they get injured, they will not be covered by WCB or our insurance plan. We would want to create a contact list that includes a list of all volunteers and contact information, provide to the RM, equipment to be used, food supplies, and where stored and related items. We will need a schedule for the ice making and maintenance days, and that should be shared with the RM and Public Works. Completion of required maintenance logbooks and forms. Each volunteer to complete an application form with contact information and signing an agreement and waiver form to include compliance with guidelines and requirements of the RM, and waiving and releasing any and all claims against the RM, and freely accepts and fully assumes all risks, dangers, and personal injury or death or property damage forms to be prepared. So this was the same message from our insurance and our lawyer. Written agreement with the Rink coordinator or Rink operator that includes his or her agreement to comply with guidelines and requirements set by the RM, as well as being devoted in ensuring that volunteer Rink helpers are following guidelines and requirements. While the RM realizes the importance of such an outdoor rink and is grateful to residents that are willing to take on the challenge and responsibility, the utmost consideration is a safe rink environment for a whole community to enjoy. And then we need to create a maintenance log form. So lots of those things I told you are administrative in the last part there. And I don't think if council decides to move forward, I don't think it would be, it would take long to put those things into place. My CAO recommendation, keep in mind that this is a decision of council, but as from the CAO's office and the CAO, I'm to, it's my duty to make a recommendation to council. But if council decides to move forward on this, I will be doing my best job to move this forward, as will all the staff at the RM. If council will is to move forward, we'll make this, a success. But the recommendation from the office of the CAO is not to proceed at this time. We are in code red with escalating restrictions still coming from the government of Manitoba. The project has lots of merit, but it was not approved in the 2020 budget. Council also has supported public engagement, which I feel should take place in this situation. Delegation has talked to Riverdale residents and felt he had 100% support, but the office of the CAO has received correspondence from neighbors who expressed concerns. The municipal emergency coordinator has also recommended the municipality cease preparation of open space pleasure rinks for the winter season. In the event that these measures are scaled back to allow for a limited gathering within recreation, these spaces shall remain closed, as they are unsupervised and would have potential to encourage gathering in excess of these recommended levels. And that recommendation from this coordinator took place before this this delegation happened, or at least before he was aware this delegation happened. I believe the following should take place. Number one, formal public engagement by the municipality with Riverdale homeowners, and the public engagement can range from a Zoom meeting with residents on Zoom and a presentation to a survey out to the residents that live in the area. So that would be a decision from council, but I think that this council has been very good in doing or encouraging public engagement. So I don't believe it has to be extensive, but anything ranging from a survey to an actual Zoom or go-to meeting where the public has a chance to see the presentation and ask some questions. I think we should follow the proper budget process. So I think this should come back to council in 2021. I believe we should proceed after COVID-19 code red. So if code red comes off, I think we will still be in some kind of scale of COVID-19. But for sure, while code red is on, I do not believe we should be proceeding. And then we need to enter into all agreements as outlined in the report. So that's my my only recommendations to council. And once again, it is the will of council to decide what they want to do. Would you like me to read the proposed resolution, Madam Mayor? Or?
Sure.
Okay. So here's the proposed resolution. So we put together a resolution for council in anticipation that, as a last meeting, we were hearing that, that council, I heard a lot of positive feedback from council on this. So certainly I gave a report that isn't, you know, all 110% let's move forward, but I understand that the will of council will decide what happens here tonight. We have a proposed resolution if we move forward. Whereas the council of the RM of West St. Paul has been requested to move the pleasure rink from the grass area in the Riverdale Park to the tennis court with installation of plywood boards and spruce framing, with maintenance of the rink and storage of related materials provided by volunteers. Now therefore, be it resolved that the council of the RM of West St. Paul approve funding required to move and upgrade the Riverdale rink as proposed and estimated to be approximately $1,202.01. And further, be it resolved that the council of the RM of West St. Paul authorize the CAO to expend funds related to the Riverdale rink upgrade. That addresses a legal concern. Further, be it resolved that the municipality retain the right to terminate the rink agreement at any time. And I think Mayor Kristen, I think the rest is up to council to decide, you know, through some healthy discussion of how they would like the CAO to move forward.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Because council didn't have an opportunity in advance to look at all of the addendums, can we walk through those? We have the addendum from the emergency coordinator, public works recommendation, and then comments from the public. Can I have you walk us through those as well? Normally I wouldn't, but we haven't had a lot of opportunity to look at that.
Okay, this is from our emergency coordinator. Morning, Brent. Due to the escalated COVID-19 measures improved by the province, and recommending that the municipality cease preparation of open space pleasure rinks for the winter season. In the event that these measures are scaled back to allow for a limited gathering within recreation, these spaces should remain closed, as they are unsupervised and would have potential to encourage gathering in the excess of the recommended levels. The matter of the outdoor hockey rink at the Sonova Center is slightly different, being that this facility can be locked to prevent access and is at a facility operated by staff that can enforce restrictions on physical gatherings. I recommend the ice is prepared and maintained in anticipation for reopening at a later date. As the situation has shown the potential to change rapidly, there is the responsibility that the numbers may drop dramatically and the province scales back restrictions to allow for unmonitored open recreation. Should this occur, at that time, pleasure rink locations could be prepped and flooded. And that's from Ken Azaransky, the MEC. And I think Ken and I talked, we talked about this on Monday, November 9th. And this was, I said, you know, Ken, I had agreed with him. And this was his follow-up, asked him to put it into writing. Next is from the Public Works Department. So Public Works response on the relocation of the ice rink to West tennis courts. Access is restricted due to the tennis court being chain link fenced in, and the court isn't located in the fenced area. This is a safety issue should a person be injured within the fenced area. The steel posts for the tennis nets would need to be cut off at the asphalt level and modified for tennis use in the summer. Snow clearing and removal within the fenced area is restricted for equipment. There will be limited space to put snow between the rink and chain link enclosure. Water delivery and flooding of the rink accessibility is restricted for truck hauling water and flooding to the proposed tennis court rink. Ongoing maintenance of the rink would be more costly due to its restricted access location versus open space with access. Integrity of the existing tennis court may be comprised, for an example, of the task for the removal and replacement of the tennis net poles, as well as freeze thaw damage may occur. Alternative, rink location to be located in the open area of Riverdale Park that does not have accessibility issues, snow clearing issues, rink flooding issues, and is a more safe location for access. Install the rink location on a new asphalt pad that would serve for a use as a rink site in the winter and a basketball court in summer. And as of the 2020 budget, the estimated cost for the multi-use asphalt pad for a rink site and basketball court is $30,000. This was the original Public Works report and recommendation. No rink should be installed in the tennis court area, and the proposed alternative is recommended by Public Works. So of course, since this recommendation we have had where the volunteers have said, we will take down and install the rink, we will store the boards in that. So it does change that somewhat. Next, I've had since this came to light that this was going to take place, and I believe it was in the Selkirk record that may have generated some of this. We did have, so we had information that there was 100% support. I did have some concerns, and some of these concerns aren't necessarily 100% against the rink. They are just concerns. I'll read them out. I've taken the names out as I told you previously. I'm writing to express my concern about the possibility of boards being placed on the ice rink in Riverdale. My husband grew up on the corner of Margaret Avenue and Salter Street, as well as my cousins living on two corners of Southall Drive and Salter Street. The sounds of skates and laughter coming from Binsley Recreation Center was a delightful sound. However, the sounds of pucks hitting the boards was one of explosive, jarring, disruptive experience. Sound, as I am sure you're well aware of, travels long distances in the winter. Sounds of the puck hitting boards over and over again will break the solitude of the neighborhood. Many years ago, I lobbied with Gord Kramer for the pleasure rink. It's been a great addition to the playground, and I feel the boards would cause more of a disturbance to the neighborhood rather than a positive addition. May I suggest that you place a framed 2x6 rink that can be flooded easier every year, similar to was at Hiawatha Park. Regards, and thank you for taking this under consideration. Number 2, subject, Riverdale hockey rink. I think a rink there with boards will cause more issues and complaints. Like I said, next they will want lights in a shack. As I said, it's too late in a budget year to have this now, maybe next year. Also, Riverdale Park priority should be replacing the walkway. I think an outdoor exercise equipment would have wider use. So this was a resident that called me, and I asked, would you please put this in writing? Number 3, hi Brent. On the surface, it's not a bad idea, depending on a couple of things. Firstly, it has to not damage the surface of the tennis court basketball area. As to someone contacting a wide group of residents, that's simply not the case. There are a couple of residents who back onto the park have children and are in favor of it. Isn't it a bit late in the budget year to be looking at adding an item that would have significant cost of installing, but also maintaining? Why not spend money at Sonova Center that's nearby? It has lighting and isn't that far away. How long before these small rinks ask for lighting and a warm-up shack? Where does it end? I know the rink at the park isn't well used other than maybe 6 fountains. Also, will there be conflict with kids wanting to play hockey and those who only want a skate park? Before going ahead, I suggest the RM do a quick survey with all 155 houses in Riverdale and seek input. Number 4, Riverdale skating rink. It has come to my attention the proposal has been made to add a hockey rink boards to Riverdale skating rink. I live directly beside the rink, and I am opposed to addition of the hockey rink boards for 2 reasons. Number 1, living in such close proximity, the noise of the hockey pucks hitting the boards would be extremely disruptive and bothersome. Also, the use of the rink would turn to be that for mainly hockey. Number 2, the skating rink in Riverdale is just that, a skating rink for all to enjoy. Yes, we see young hockey players with their nets. We also see young children with their parents being taught to skate. Figure skaters using the rink for practice, families for skating outing, etc. In my opinion, the skating rink should remain just that, a skating rink for all to enjoy. Number 5, the short answer is the answer a resounding no. Here's why. The current skating rink is a quaint, quiet, and fun. All 3 of our children still use it. Though sparingly, it's just perfect. And they mention how old their children are. Hockey parents, which we used to be, but we're not like this, often quite think the world should revolve around them and their children as Canada's sport. That's a load of you know what. If they want a fancy rink, do it in your own backyard at your own cost. Number 3, that proposed rink will bring added cars, noise, vandalism, and garbage to the area. It will be worse than basketball. Basketball. Thank you for putting up only one hoop this summer to cut down on the traffic and garbage. Number 4, West St. Paul will have an increased liability exposure. This family is placing all liability exposure onto West St. Paul and waiving any negligence. 5, let's say this passes and water is poured onto the tennis court concrete without a professional waterproof base underneath. In the spring, with warm and cold temperatures, the water may seep into the tennis court cracks, and then there will be heaving and swelling of the courts, which may cause 6 figures worth of damage. A good idea who this family is, and they haven't asked any of us other parents. We are not Scrooges, and our family does not go hat in hand when we need money for when our children are playing or traveling with sports. This is our expense wholly. Bottom line, this family should set up the rink in their own property like all our friends did. This request is absolutely ridiculous. Please keep this private and confidential. So we kept it private and confidential without names, but thought it was important that the message was out. And finally, the last one, that we received at the end of the day today, so it came shortly before 4:30. It has been brought to my attention that there is going to be a motion put forward to have the boards around the skating area in Riverdale. I find this very disturbing, as the information that I had received from a few neighbors was that the community was in support of this change to the ice rink. In fact, anyone that I have spoken to is unaware, and nor have I been approached to receive any communication via email or a pamphlet left at my door if I was not home. A couple of concerns come to mind. Is the impact potentially of the noise level in a confined channel location where the sound would echo greatly amongst the neighboring homes as pucks being slapped against the boards, which is quite startling, along with difficulty to close the area off at night. There are other rinks in close proximity to Riverdale that would serve this purpose, as the Sonova Center and at Red River Community Center. Yes, I truly enjoy the laughter and the sounds of skates that echo in the neighborhood on the ice, but the banging of the boards, pucks against the boards, is something I would not appreciate. I hope you'll take my concerns into consideration.
Thank you, Mr. CAO, for going through your added addendums. We appreciate that. I'm going to go around the council table and we'll have discussion on this matter. Councillor Link, Ward 1, I will start with you.
Thank you. I expect I will take my 5 minutes allotment. First thing I want to ask, and all it needs is a nod of the head for an answer. Was Mr. Pachkowski informed by administration after budget talks that his budget application was denied, and the reasons for the denial? I don't think so. No. 2, yes, there was a community project okayed for $10,000, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But I'm also going to say that the Municipal Act, Section 169(2), expenditures for items not in the budget. We've already said that there's precedence for spending outside of the budget. And it's true, the Municipal Act allows it. Council may authorize the expenditures of an amount provided in an operating budget or a capital budget if the expenditure does not affect the total of the amounts estimated in the operating budget or the capital budget. And this year, we have received a great deal of extra money from the provincial and federal governments for the operating budget due to COVID-19. Now, there were a lot of comments about it being just a hockey rink. Mr. Pachkowski made it clear that this rink would be available for any kind of skating. And we have made observations that the kids usually get along and take turns with their activities. It could be just for figure skating, could be someone just having a ringette little practice. As far as the noise element, there's not going to be any lights. There are no lights at the present time. Nobody's going to be using this rink beyond dark. It gets dark now around 5. There's a liner so that the asphalt would not be affected. The liner would prevent any water from being on the asphalt. And every other rink in our RM, I believe, has an asphalt surface that gets flooded in the winter. Why would this one not be able to be flooded, especially since it has a liner to protect the asphalt? There's no updated report from Public Works. Mr. Pachkowski told us last week that he had met and talked with the manager of Public Works, and further greater understanding of the project took place. This is not an updated report from Public Works. Why should the Recreation Committee assess? The mandate of the Recreation Committee has a bylaw, and it outlines its responsibilities. And evaluating parks in the RM is not one of their jobs. The Director of Recreation has qualifications to inspect playground equipment. Why not use her to inspect this facility before it is used? She's qualified. She's already employed. I have some more, I'm not done. Liability insurance. There's liability insurance for all the playgrounds, I am sure. Why should this be an issue for just this rink? I don't see it. This was an amazing report. I've never seen such a detailed report. Never seen such a detailed report. And apparently it was written overnight. Wow. And I'm wondering why, if there were such concerns, why wasn't a report like this produced last year when the project was first initiated? Strange. I could go on. I've probably used up my 5 minutes. Oh, one more thing. This rink, just like Sonova Center rink, can be locked. Therefore, access can be prevented during the red COVID period. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Link. Would only make one comment in regards to anybody notifying Mr. Pachkowski. I have about 25 emails that went back and forth with Mr. Pachkowski since 2019, 24 emails. I think council was copied in most of them. And on November 13th, he emailed all of us, November 13th, 2019, to share his disappointment with the rink not being approved at budget time. So he was made fully aware by myself, by the CAO, and I'm sure as his area counselor, you would have let him know as well.
Yes, I did when I received that email. Yes, I did. He had not heard from anybody else. Period. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bichetti, I'll go to you.
No comments. Good report.
Thank you. Councillor Kleiber?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
we can
I've
hear
got
you.
Problems again today, so everything's, I'm trying to keep my camera off so I have audio. I think some of these concerns I heard before, I'm amazed that half an hour before our council meeting that suddenly there's all of these objections. We had this on the agenda recently and Jamie did a whole presentation. I don't know why we didn't have objections previously. But nevertheless, having said that, I think when there's a will, there's a way. And these people want a rink. They're willing to put a lock on it. They're willing to take care of it. I think if we want to have a rink there, we can make it happen, despite the obstacles. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kleiber. Councillor Prague?
For myself, I have nothing against the rink being there. Once, from my point, once the COVID restrictions are out, comes out or they leaned it, I think the rink should be there and be abide by the rules of the COVID. If COVID, they go back code red, shut it down. I can't pronounce his name. The gentleman who wrote the letter, he has to know this, that we have to abide by the recommendations of the province, the premier, and Dr. Rusin. And once this is adhered to, I have no concerns. Another thing I would like to see, this just stable, let another survey go out to the residents there, just like we did on River Springs for those car things, those speed bumps, something like that, similar, go to all the residents. And we go on that. That's another request, because nobody loves to see children enjoy themselves more than me. Keeps them out of trouble. Another thing which should be stipulated, there will be no lights now or never should be asked the council to put lights on. There should be no request. It will be denied. I know this was denied in budget. The gentleman went out, tried to be economical, came up with a different thing. And I admired his tenacity. He wants to see this. And I'm positive from his report, he can schedule when hockey can be played, when they can have their skating, when they can play their ringette. I'm positive he can do that. So if these demands are met, the rink can go. I have no qualms about it.
Thank you, Councillor Prague. My comments on this, I think Mr. Pichkowski is very determined, and I commend him for the research and time that he spent on this. That has come to council a couple of times, and I know he's very determined. Our email exchanges demonstrate that. I do have a number of concerns. I'm not opposed to rinks, and I think it's great that residents show initiative in terms of recreation, but I don't believe this is consistent with other projects that we've done and other requests that we've had of residents. Riverdale specifically, I know when Councillor Bichetti was a councillor, He went door to door and asked what resident preferences were for lighting in Riverdale Recreation Park there. And so because of that came some really great consultation and low lights near the ground, not disruptive to residents. When I was a counselor for Riverdale area, and we wanted to, some residents came and approached me and said they wanted to add play structures. Some dads would get together, they would build a play structure. They wanted something put together for smaller kids, young kids 2 and under. The existing play structure didn't have anything. I held a public open house. I did a survey of my own and distributed that around, went door to door. And from the residents attending that open house, what they talked about was that they would, they wanted funds to be directed to a play structure equipment, and others that were opposed to it wanted to see adult equipment in there for exercising. They wanted to see upgrades to the surfacing of the tennis court. And so really for me, that really helped inform how we spend money in there going forward. Not once did it come up about a hockey rink in there. Their surveys were, there's a pleasure rink. Most of them were supportive of the pleasure rink. A couple of them had concerns with that there and didn't feel that it was used enough. But from that survey data and the public engagement that we had, really the pressure was, okay, we'll allow money to be spent, $25,000. We think it's a good idea to spend it for young kids. There's a lot of new families coming in. But when you go forward on budget requests, could you direct money to adult exercise equipment? So what concerns me about this project is the lack of public engagement on this. If residents are supportive in there, and I think that many of them are, that's great. But there's also others that have raised concerns. And I think Councillor Craig raises a really great issue of surveying the area. I really hate to bring something into a community and then hear about objections later. And I think it was good that there was some time between our last meeting and this meeting so that it was in the newspaper, people can watch our meetings, and they sent in some comments. So there are some concerns. So, are they deal breakers? Are there things that could be mitigated so that residents aren't upset? A pleasure rink is very different than boards and on hockey pucks hitting it. So, I think a survey going out is a great idea. My other concerns are, I think that survey and public engagement in that process should take place at budget time. I've already received emails from residents asking if we're going to start looking at budget items that have been declined, they would like to look at drainage on Moore Road. If that's been declined, could we now revisit it? So now we've opened up the door for other declined requests to come back to the table, and that concerns me too, just in terms of this process. In terms of pleasure rinks in general, if we're okay putting up boards on this pleasure rink where little kids learn to skate and it's an open format, we have 9 other pleasure rinks in West St. Paul. So when dads come forward and say, I would like to take boards from my basement, my garage that I've been storing and using that are not commercial grade, and I want to put them out on municipal property, can I do it? And are we going to end up with 8 other hockey rinks as opposed to pleasure skating rinks? So my personal opinion, and it can be different from other members on council, I fully respect that, is I believe these small neighborhood rinks should be pleasure rinks, and that nobody should have to listen to banging on the boards. And I get it. I've got 5 hockey players at my house. But in a small community where there's houses backing right onto these rinks, I have concerns. If it does go forward on this, just one more point in terms of budget. We've already spent, I would say, at least $1,000 reviewing this again. We've got the indemnities of counselors attending a special meeting for this. We've had the staff time to do another report, legal to review the request and share their concerns in terms of liability. So we're already spending money outside of budget to address this issue. If it does go forward, one of the things that I think should be included in the resolution is that the CAO enter into an agreement with Mr. Peczkowski, and that agreement would clearly identify that this is a pilot project, that Mr. Peczkowski is fully responsible for clearing the snow in this area, that signage will be up, which is going to cost additional money that's not included here in the budget, that would talk about hours, clearly stating the hours, because a number of us, Councillor Bichetti and myself, are receiving phone calls about people in parks after hours, so clearly stating it. That insurance issues would be clearly identified in that agreement, volunteers keeping the rink clean, and inspections of the boards when they're set up. So I know that Councillor Link had mentioned that we have somebody on, our recreation directors received training in terms of inspection, but the boards that Mr. Pichkowski is suggesting to use are not commercial grade. This is residential use boards and plywood that he's putting together, and I commend him for wanting to do that. But I want to make sure that it's safe. It would have to be inspected by Public Works, the construction at least slightly overseen. We don't want anybody getting hurt because this is just slapped together. We want to make sure something's done right if this is something council wants to move forward on. And I believe that's it for my concerns. I did just want to let council know that in terms of other communities, City of Winnipeg, City of Selkirk, St. Clements, our neighbors are not doing outdoor pleasure rinks right now based on COVID. So given COVID, I don't know if this is something that we should revisit at the 2020 budget, 2021 budget when we start talking about that in January. I also don't want to see funds wasted if people can't be out there because you can only have 1 or 2 people out there. So I agree with Councillor Craig. I'd like to see a survey done. I'd like to see public engagement before anything moves forward. And my thoughts are we revisit this next year, but I'm willing to read the resolution and have us vote on that. Councillor Link.
Councillor Link, we can't hear you.
Apologies. I believe that Councillor Craig wanted an addition regarding the lights to this, that there not be lights installed. And that needs to be done. And you yourself made another suggestion for you, Madam Mayor, made another suggestion, which we can include. I guess the MLO will be busy making those additions. And perhaps we could have the resolution, once it's complete, reread with those amendments.
Councillor Link, I
And
think
also, I'm sorry, we didn't include plus taxes to that amount. The amount was $1,202.01 plus taxes. The amount that was quoted did not include taxes.
Thank you, Councillor Link. I think if we added in here that that we required Mr. Pichkowski to enter into an agreement with the CAO, that the issues of lighting, signage, that those issues could be volunteers and scheduling and inspection of putting the boards together, all those issues could be addressed within an agreement with Mr. Pichkowski.
Yes, all of those roadblocks could be addressed, yes.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Craig.
How are we going to put in the COVID restrictions here, the COVID restrictions and the survey? That's why I'm saying let the survey go out ASAP, and it's only November yet, and we can see if we can put it in the November meeting, end of November 26th, if that's possible. Sure, we can get back a response from them, and that's 2 things: the COVID restrictions, that's my #1 concern, and the survey. I don't know what the others think about this.
If I may, Madam Mayor,
Yes.
administratively, I don't think it would be possible for us to survey and have a response from residents as we post the agenda on Monday for the November 26th meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. I agree, Councillor Craig. I think there needs to be public engagement. I'm not sure that it's fair to staff to quickly try and pull off a survey and get information back. Based on that, it takes some time. This is why I think it should come up as part of next budget to actually prepare. Our staff has budgeted their time based on what the priorities that we've set for them in our financial plan. Go ahead.
So what about they lift the restrictions of the COVID they have a vaccine coming, as they say, December, January, and we make preparation from now. Yes, these are the rules. Nothing until this restriction is out and the survey. You know, it's not to me, it's not a vast amount of money here that is being requested. And I would just love to see the survey back, because I know for a fact a lot of new families have moved in to that area in the last recent times. You know, a number of houses that was sold in there. A friend of mine moved in there with 3 young children. And to be upfront, I never spoke to him about this. He never contacted me. But I know a lot of houses has changed owners in there.
One possible solution, Councillor Pereg, Councillor Bichetti and I, in his time as councillor and in my time as councillor, we went and did that public consultation ourselves. And that might be something that if Councillor Link is wanting to prepare a survey and send out to residents in the area, leave on doorsteps, maybe that's something that Councillor Link would want to do.
You want that commitment tonight? Mr. Pachkowski has surveyed the community. We could survey the community together once more. He is familiar with exactly what he wants and exactly what he intends to do together. And I'm fine with that.
Thank you, Councillor Link. Councillor Pereg?
Councillor Link, I'll very much appreciate that. I'll very much appreciate that. Let's get this thing moving on.
Guys, I think that might be good. If Councillor Link is wanting to go around with Mr. Pichkowski, we've had a number of emails from people that haven't been contacted. This council's top priority has been public engagement. And how can we find a way to do that even in COVID? So, you know, this might be something we could table until we receive input back from the community and make a decision once we've heard some input. We can wait until that's done. We could have a Zoom meeting. You know, that's something previous councillors have done in terms of engagement. Councillor Link and then Councillor Kleiber.
I think perhaps a Zoom meeting would be in order. How can we go door to door in COVID red? Is that feasible? Is that a feasible expectation?
Yes, people can't gather at doors, rinks. Councillor Kleiber and then Councillor Pereg.
I was actually going to say the same thing. I think we're using technology a lot. Let's use technology in this instance, and we can get we did it with the town hall, so we can make the announcement, and then whoever wants to zoom in can zoom in. We have council of the whole meeting coming up in early December. I believe second week in December. I was just looking at it. December the 8th. So that might be a good opportunity to Zoom, or we could do it before. And then we have one more meeting on the 10th, which is a planning regular meeting. I don't know how busy that's going to be, but if we have to, we can always call another special meeting to finish this item.
Thank you, Councillor Kleiber. Councillor Pereg?
I totally agree with what Councillor Kleiber is suggesting. Let's table it. Community as a whole meeting is coming up in December, or which meeting? As she said, she doesn't know if the planning, I don't know if the planning meeting will be packed or the regular meeting. So let's go ahead and do this. Table it for now. I'll let the survey do it on Zoom, and let's move on. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Pereg. And so the survey, would that be administration setting up Councillor Link to host that? Councillor Link?
co-chair with Mr. Pachkowski.
I like that. Very good. So we can set something up, have staff help set up a link for you guys, and you two can be co-presenters, and we'll share information out that way. I think that's good. So Ms. Shaw, do I need a resolution then to table this?
No, Madam Mayor, you have not read the resolution. It has not been moved or seconded. It's not on the floor for debate. So what we can do is we can just note that the item has been tabled to a future meeting, and I will work with Councillor Link to be prepared for Zoom call.
Very good. Thank you. Great discussion from council. Very good. All right. Our next items are in-camera items. So I will read the resolution to move in camera. Be it resolved that in accordance with section 152(3) of the Municipal Act, council do now move in camera to discuss personnel and a matter that is in preliminary stages and respecting which discussion in public could prejudice the municipality's ability to carry out its activities or negotiations. And further be it resolved in accordance with section 83(1)(d) of the Municipal Act, any issues that are discussed are kept confidential until discussed at a regular meeting of council. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Bichetti, seconded Councillor Craig. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. We are going in camera. If Ken or Brian could let me know when we're live. That would be great.
Mayor Christian, are we okay for that tour tomorrow? As I know that somebody told me the restrictions changed again. We're not gonna break anything by doing that walking tour, are we?
Are we, and I'll ask the CEO, are we still okay to the restrictions? We're under 5, right? Oh, sorry. All right. I'll do the rise and report first, Mr. CEO, and then we'll answer the questions about the tour. Sorry. Yeah. All right, our rise and report in camera, we discussed a personnel matter and discussed meeting time management. Can I have a mover to adjourn the meeting? Moved by Councillor Bichetti, seconded Councillor Kleiber. Thank you. I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Thank you. And Ken or Brian, let me know when we are not live. And then Councillor Kleiber just wanted a follow-up question here. Yep, let's plan something. We'll all go and take a walk. And now with the COVID restrictions, let's just be really careful and make sure we're under 5 in terms of groups. But I think it's really great for all of us to see. And then we'll find out from that when the public can have access to that. All right. Don't want to keep everybody later than normal, but I'm looking forward to the tours tomorrow. I think that's good. It's always good to have some positive stuff. So dress warmly and dress for a picture, either Donna or our CAO on the phone. So, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
A picture in our parkas?
Yeah. At the beginning, before we get red and cold, and masks. Yes.
With long hair.
Yes. Yes. Good meeting, guys. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow.